Welcome everyone to the Is This Love podcast, where we navigate and discuss the weird and wonderful world of love and relationships. I am Francis, aka the other guy, and with me, as always, is the effervescent and affable Sara Nade. Hey, Sara.
Hi, that was a lovely introduction. Effervescent and affable.
Oh, yeah. Trying to build my vocabulary here. So, how have you been? How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Francis?
I'm doing well. It's been a week, you know. It's fun to kind of see that people are really enjoying the first episode. I'm hoping they'll get to the second one soon. We're getting likes, though. I haven't checked if we had any reviews yet, but if you are out there wanting to show your appreciation for the things that we're doing, we're actually putting a lot more effort into this podcast than I have in any other podcast I've ever done.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, I think my first one was the one I put in probably the absolute most effort, but I didn't go as far as this, where I'm on all the different social medias and I'm all on the different platforms and stuff, and where, you know, I'm sharing articles on one and trying to just share as much as I can on all the different things, and it's like, oh, this is great. This is a really thorough experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's great to be on the social media. Mm-hmm. Like the three big ones, or three important ones for sure.
Yeah, and I know that on like Twitter specifically, I know that's not your platform of choice. I know that's not necessarily
that one. I'm not on as much now.
And Instagram kind of does this too. Facebook not so much. I see a lot of relationship-based stuff on both Twitter and Instagram, like a lot of it, where I think that people like to air their grievances on relationships on those platforms.
Oh.
I don't know if you've noticed, or at least maybe even share their romantic feelings or their positive affirmations on Instagram specifically, where they get the little text box and they type in like, you know, love is a many splendid thing. Love lifts us up where we belong. You know, all you need is love.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, have you not seen that? Oh, yeah. Well, I look for that stuff because I'm looking for content for us to kind of post on those platforms. And folks who follow, thank you very much. I love that the Is This Love Facebook is getting more and more likes, you know, as each passing day there's at least one new like, and it's really nice to see that people are liking it and hopefully sharing that love and that fandom for that page and getting the word out. But yeah, as time passes also, hopefully Sara and I will be posting more in those places, sharing articles that we find throughout the internet and things like that. I don't know if you've necessarily run into anything. Have you been online much lately?
Yeah. Yes, I have. Actually, mostly when I'm on like Instagram, my personal account is a lot of art stuff.
Oh, okay. Sure.
I tend to look at more relationship stuff.
On Reddit.
I do. I like Reddit. I like Quora.
Oh, Quora. Really? Okay.
There's some interesting stuff on Quora. People ask questions and they send me emails, and I'm not even on there that much, but they send me an email and they know exactly how to hook me. Mm-hmm. They send me a subject and I'm like, okay, yeah, I have to know the answer to that.
They're good. I mean,
they're good. Yeah.
This is kind of the world we live in, is the world of clickbait. Like the way to get you, just click on that link, just click on it.
And you want to know what people think about it. I want to see the comments. So when with Quora, they ask a question, then you get someone's opinion, and then you get like 500 people's opinion on that opinion. And, you know, you just get sucked down the rabbit hole a little bit.
Now, is Quora, did that replace Yahoo Answers, which used to be the place that I would go to for questions and answers, was Yahoo Answers?
You know, I actually don't quite fully understand Quora. I know that there's some part of it where I think you have to pay, but for some reason, if the Quora question shows up in like a Google search, I can look at it for free. Or if they email it to me, the question, I can look at that for free. but it's hard for me to explore much more of the site without running into like
having an account or something.
Exactly, or paying for premium or something. So, unfortunately, I don't know a whole lot about the site because it's a little bit barred on the free end.
Well, I think it has to replace Yahoo Answers because Yahoo Answers shut down last year in May. So May 4th of 2021, may the 4th be with you, was the last time Yahoo Answers was around and got replaced. I'm so sad.
Oh,
I used to go there all the time just for like the silliest things. People would ask the most ridiculous questions, like, should I marry my dog? What's it like
dear.
Right, like really weird and silly questions. Or, I have this thing growing at the tip of my penis. Should I be worried? And it's
that's, you know what? Now that's not,
well,
it's not a silly question to some people.
No. But I don't need to see any of that stuff.
Some people are looking at that like, yes, I would like to know the answer to that, please.
That's true. Oh, no, that's true. That's true. I feel like there's not enough of I shouldn't say that because I feel like you shouldn't be getting those answers from random people, but like from a doctor.
Your doctor. I mean, you could go to WebMD, but then it'll just scare the pants off you.
Oh no, WebMD is like, do you want to think you're dying from everything? Go to WebMD. I have this itch on my foot. Well, it could be cancer. It's like, no.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Yeah, everything is just like the worst possible thing ever on WebMD. It's the worst.
Yeah. I mean, and you read like their stuff and it doesn't sound that scary, like they're regular articles, but then you ask any question and WebMD pops up and it's like, well, could be cancer.
Ooh, oh man. Well, anyway, yeah, Quora, good. I like Quora now that it's the only kind of question and answer place to go to. But speaking of questions and answers, I thought, Ryan Cowliffe has been so kind as to ask us questions. I'm pretty sure we'll be hearing from him regularly on our show. So I'm thinking we're going to have to make a segment just dedicated to him starting on the next episode. But for now, we have a breakdown of episode 2. But we're just going to answer some of the more relevant questions on there. So Sarah, why don't you go ahead and pick out those questions that you wanted to answer? Okay.
So I'll just read the first one here about relationships. In the Basco Brothers movie, The Fabulous Filipino Brothers from 2021, there was an infidelity scene. Was the resulting resolution in that movie, which was suicide of one of the unfaithful, the right outcome? If not, what would be the best outcome? How does a relationship mend from a break of trust?
Wow, that's a pretty intense reaction.
That's intense.
Yeah.
I would say right off the bat, movies and TV can really romanticize harming yourself or others, and it's just not the right answer, ever.
Yeah.
It's definitely not. But, not looking at the stories that they create, and we're looking more at like reality. The best outcome, I guess it depends on what you want to do, I think. Like, definitely don't hurt yourself or others.
No.
And if you're feeling that way, reach out, get help. There's hotlines and there's plenty of mental health resources available, or talk to a friend or somebody. But I guess you have to think about, do you want to continue a relationship with that person or not? And he did ask that. He asked, how do you mend the relationship? So
now, wait, I don't know if we did this on air or off, but did you ever mention ever being cheated on or not?
I said not to my knowledge.
Right. So yeah, I think we kind of brushed on this a little bit in I think maybe in the first episode, I think too, because that was the one. Oh no, second episode because that was when they were talking about all of the anxiety, right? So yeah, it's interesting how a lot of media really, just to keep your attention now, ups the ante with the types of things that people will do in a show, right? where they'll harm themselves or harm others. You know, there's a lot of killing in TV shows. You don't want to do that. You don't want any of that business. And movies, right? Like, that's a big thing as kind of like a over the top resolution for people, not necessarily who are unfaithful, but just as kind of like a solution for everything, right? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I got cut off by this driver. I'm going to run them off the road. Like, that's not the answer, obviously. But I do find it interesting that like, that's the path that people, that writers of movies think, you know what I need to do? We need to write in a story where this guy goes bananas and does something like that. But, well, I hope the first outcome is that the persons and the people involved are able to mend that trust. And really, to me, I feel mistakes can happen. Again, we kind of mentioned that cheating happens as more of a situation of opportunity than it is of actually wanting to do it. You just kind of find yourself there, and the temptation gets a little bit too high because you're drunk or you're high or whatever, and you're in just a really comfortable situation with someone you find attractive, and you make a lapse in judgment. Lapse in judgments happen. Once is a mistake. Right. Two is a pattern, right? So if it happens once, I hope that there could be a path towards forgiveness. And I think the person who was slighted will probably have a hard time forgiving, but hopefully they'll be able to give a second chance to the person, especially if they love them that much, especially if they really mean that much to them. Again, I've heard of relationships mending and even becoming stronger after a mistake, an infidelity that was, again, just a lapse of judgment, and it never happened again, and they were the happiest ever. And it does happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen all the time, but, it is something that can happen. As for trust, I mean, I'm pretty sure the best way to regain trust is to, well, I don't know, actually. I was trying to say, well, sharing as much information as possible, but I feel that may be overkill. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think that probably you need to go see a couples therapist. I mean, This is like a really big thing to deal with on just your own. And I think the start to the best outcome is for it to only have happened once. And, you hope. And for the person who was the unfaithful partner to fully acknowledge that they did something wrong, don't blame the other person at all or put it on them, and to really be sorry for it and be willing to do whatever it takes. The person who was cheated on, they can either say, I just can't get past it. And, sometimes people just can't. Or they can say, I do want to try to, but I think there does need to be some help in there. I mean, people, I'm sure, work it out themselves without going to a therapist, but it's a tricky road, I think. I think it's a windy and unclear path. So
It is. And I'm really glad that you haven't found yourself in that scenario. It's a really interesting headspace to be in when you can't trust your partner who you've trusted up until this point. It's really hard to be like, oh, well, I trust you again. Yay, everything is fine. It's a really just arduous road to be on. And it seems to be something that happens more and more, I feel. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like I'm seeing more and more patterns on social media specifically where people seem to be airing their grievances or maybe even talking about things that they've done to their partner. And it's almost, I don't want to say it's normalized, but I almost feel like it's considered just a part of relationships now.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you see that based on what you've seen on Reddit and Quora and things like that. But from, the places I've seen on Twitter and kind of the places I've seen with not necessarily websites like Ashley Madison, but they
right. They wouldn't really be against it.
No, they wouldn't be. They encourage it because that's how they make their money. More cheating, everyone.
Right. It makes everyone happier.
Right. Yeah. Well, again, I don't want to go to their site, but I mean, they have like that's.
I know we looked at their homepage and they had testimonials that were like, "It made my marriage better."
Yeah, it's like what? Okay, I mean,
obviously we didn't go past the homepage. No. I didn't want to go any further than that.
No, but I do find it funny that they're just like, "Yeah, this is amazing. People should cheat more often. Look at the wonderful results." So, but yeah,
I think that. Actually, like on Reddit and Quora, from what I've seen from people's questions in the comments, is cheating's definitely not accepted by most people. And it is seen by a lot of people as a one strike, you're out. Mm-hmm. You'll never be able to trust that person again. I tried it, didn't work. A lot of people say things like that. Other people say, yeah, it was absolutely horrible, but my partner just completely was sorry. It was a one-time thing. You know, they were willing to do anything, and it took me a really long time to trust again. It was really hard and difficult, but we did it. And it's hard to get past those feelings of distrust. Yeah. I have experienced like difficulty trusting and feeling like I don't know if I can trust the person I'm with, or worried about their actions or what they might do. And that's a difficult space to be in. It's hard.
Do you think once a cheater, always a cheater?
Oh, gosh. You know, I don't. I don't think it's always that way. No, I do think patterns are a bad sign for sure. If you're looking at someone who is a serial cheater, it's fairly certain that that's going to keep happening.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think a lot of people just only do it once. I do think that's certainly possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I do think there are serial cheaters out there, but I think they're much more rare than the person who, again, has that lapse of judgment and does it the one time. So, but all right, there you go. Is it phrase? What is it called? Whatever that thing is called, where once a cheater, always a cheater. That
the axiom.
Axiom there. Not necessarily true, I don't think. All right.
Not for everyone.
Not for everyone. No. Yeah, exactly. Again, I think that's a smaller number than really the person who does it not on accident, even though I do find it was an accident.
Okay, it's not really ever an accident.
I'm sorry.
Unless it's like not consensual, then that's not cheating. That is something totally different.
Whole other world. Yeah, there's a whole other world there. All right. Any other questions from Right Cow Left Coast's response on Facebook?
Let's see here. Within polyamorous or open relationships, do those types of relationships have a more difficult time in establishing and maintaining trust and security? Are some cultures more prone to have non-monogamous relationships? And how has that impacted the cultural development of that population?
Well, oh man, again, the deep questions.
Yeah, honestly, as far as cultures or populations of polyamorous people,
I don't know anymore. I don't think that exists really.
Not so much. I can't think of in modern times. Like maybe, probably somewhere in the world.
Mormons.
Don't know enough about it to make comments on that culture.
Well, again, Mormons apparently, some sects of Mormonism apparently have. There's a whole show about it. There's a whole TV show.
There is a whole show about it. I kind of want her to get away with that. I don't think that they're probably not all legally married. Probably only 2 of them are legally married.
Sister wives. Kind of how that works.
Sister wives. Yep. Do you watch that show?
No. I know it exists, but I'm like, I don't need to watch any of that business.
But the first part of the question was, do those relationships have more difficulty in establishing and maintaining trust and security?
I think yes. I don't think there's difficulty. I don't know. Have you had experience with anyone in an open relationship or polyamorous relationship?
I haven't experienced it myself, but I know people who have. And I have looked a little bit just out of curiosity, like reading into it a little bit, not because I was trying to figure out how to start one myself, but I know I do know it's Yeah, okay, for real. No lies here. I do feel that it is super important to work for there to be trust and security. It's imperative that both people are enthusiastically into the polyamorous lifestyle or polyamorous relationship. And there needs to be really clear boundaries and expectations. And that includes like what's okay with other people, where, maybe not in the home, maybe only outside the home, maybe only inside the home, what happens when certain feelings happen, lots and lots of communication. I've read many accounts of people who were sort of talked into a polyamorous situation.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not good. That's not enthusiastically, mutually agreeing to it. That's someone feeling like they kind of have to because their partner really wants to.
Yeah. No, I've only ever known of one who was in a polyamorous relationship. I don't know if they were, if it was a husband-wife relationship. I don't know if the husband was, because I know the husband was allowed, in air quotes, allowed to canoodle with other women, but I don't know if the wife was. As far as I don't know, because I happened to stumble upon it. I want to protect kayfabe and not say too much, but I stumbled upon it accidentally while doing some tech support for someone. And I learned, I saw things I never wanted to see, and I'm like, oh, okay. That's someone's junk. Anyway, so I got to see a lot of things that I didn't want to see, but it was just because I was, it wasn't intentional. I was trying to be tech support for someone. Anyway, and it just happened to be like in their, they just put it in their regular folders. Like, don't put stuff in regular folders. If you're gonna get stuff like that, hide it in a folder that says like, cooking recipes or peach melba recipes or something, like anything but like your photo album gallery. Cause I'm going to have to go in there. I'm going to have to go into places that should normally have regular stuff in it. But instead there's stuff, other stuff in it. But they were very, very happily married and very much in love. But they were, I guess, just part of the agreement was on occasion they could fool around with other people, and I guess the other could watch or participate. I don't know the full arrangement, but I know that it was very much open and just a thing that they did, and it was just a fun thing that spiced up their marriage and spiced up their love life. And so they seem to be very happy, from what I could tell. I mean, obviously, you can't tell everything from the surface. It may all just be surface level, but from what I could tell, it was fine. So yeah, I think but I also think that there comes, as long as the boundaries are known, you can totally trust someone in a non-monogamous relationship. Why not? Like, I don't see why not. I mean, cause now if that's just something that's available to people, why wouldn't they tell you the shenanigans they got into, and maybe you get off on it, which more power to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the people I know who've been in them have never told me that they didn't have trust. Maybe I know someone who, it wasn't their favorite thing, so they ended up not doing it anymore.
Right.
So this isn't for me. Mm-hmm. But like when I've heard of people having trust issues, it's not been people I know personally, and it sounds like it started when they didn't really want to do it in the first place. Oh. Like it was really more their partner wanted to. So like communication is key, and make sure your partner really wants to do it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what happens if you are in a monogamous relationship and your partner says, I would like to be polyamorous, and you don't. What do you do with that?
Well, I experienced that, and it was not easy.
Really?
Yeah. I thought I was open-minded. I thought I was like, right. Oh, okay, I could probably handle it. And then it happened, and I'm like, oh no, I can't handle it. No, this is, no, let's not do that anymore. And they understood, so that was nice. But it was just, it was something that they were curious about because they are adventurous in that respect. And it was just a little too much for me. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's not it's not, I mean, it's technically natural, right? Because that's kind of our evolutionary past is kind of natural, I suppose.
Well, are we more like penguins? Or are we more like some animal that has crazy orgies all the time?
I mean, ancient cultures did it that way. Ancient cultures, I mean, the Greeks, right? Very much just like men, women, doesn't matter. They just, everybody, orgies all the time.
I guess it is different cultures, like the question said. And, and yeah, some animals do have, many different partners and maybe all at once, and humans do all different kinds of relationships. So it's hard to say evolution wise. Is it mostly social evolution?
Yeah. I don't know. Wobbly H. That's all I got to say.
Oh, God.
All right. Any more on here that you'd like to hit before we get into an article?
Oh, let's see here. Oh, there was another good one. Okay. Is it better that introverts do not date extroverts? Is there trust issues caused by introverts dating non-introverts? If not, why should introverts date non-introverts? If so, why is it better for introverts to date other introverts? So I think, in summary, is there a problem with introverts dating extroverts?
Well, I feel like someone here is well equipped to answer this question.
I am an introvert, more of an introvert, and my boyfriend's more of an extrovert. And I've dated other extroverts too. It can be tricky because they enjoy more social outings than I do. And sometimes I'm almost like feeling like I'm almost jealous of their ability to do that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, I wish that I could be more proactive about seeing like groups of people, but I just have a very small circle of friends. It does sometimes make me feel, and this has nothing really to do with like my trust of whether they're being faithful to me or not. It just sort of like being with an extrovert has me comparing myself in a way where I'm like, why am I not like that? Why do I not like have a big group of friends and do lots of like these fun things? And when I go hang out with them and their friends, it's great. I come home and I need to have like my me time for sure, but it makes me feel like, why do I have such a small circle,
Well, do you want a larger circle? Do you want more people in your life in that respect?
Sometimes it would be nice, especially when, everyone that you're friends with is kind of busy because you don't have a very big circle.
Yeah. No, I get it. I don't know if I keep calling myself an introvert. I think I'm both, because I do get a lot of energy from groups if I'm around people I know, and that's when I become an extrovert. If it's just me, I'm an introvert all the way. I refuse to talk to anyone. I refuse to socialize. It freaks me out. I get tired if I'm in a social group where I know no one, like conventions and things like that. So I think I'm an introvert extrovert if I'm in the right circumstances. So for me, I get it, right? Like, I think about a lot of stuff that I do, and I do a lot of stuff alone. That's just how I do it, because I don't know anyone near me, and I don't have anyone I can be like, hey, you want to go watch a movie? Hey, do you want to go have dinner? Hey, do you want to go to this museum or whatever? I don't have any of that stuff. But boy, like you said, that'd be kind of fun to have,
right.
Someone to be like, hey, I wanted to go to the Getty this weekend. You want to come with me to the Getty? We can go hang out and look at old paintings of things.
Right. Like, yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you. It almost makes me a little bit sad about myself when I see that I'm not like saying, oh, I feel bad for me, but when I'm with someone who has a very healthy social calendar, and my small circle is all otherwise preoccupied, and they're like, what are you doing this week? And I'm like, groceries.
Yeah, more or less, right? Yeah. Oh, I'm editing a podcast. That's what I'm doing this weekend. Oh, fun. No, I'm exactly the same way. Like, I wish I could go out, but at the same time, I do like knowing that I don't have to. Like, there's a part of me that's relieved. I wish I had a girlfriend who lived near me, where that would be the person I would do that stuff with. I wouldn't feel like it'd be great to hang out with friends and do that stuff. But I've always had a small circle of friends. So for me, it's like, no, I like just having myself and a couple other people to be able to do stuff with every once in a while. But mostly I would prefer to have a significant other who was close enough for us to be able to do those things that I would want to do or they wanted to do. And that would be my social kind of thing to do. Because I don't really need much more than that. Right? Like, I don't need the large groups of people. I don't need to be surrounded by folks. I don't need to go to parties or clubs or bars. I don't need any of that stuff. I just need someone who would be, willing to accompany me on stuff. I'm like, and that's wonderful to me. Like, for me, that's like ideal. I feel that it can get muddled with a lot of people. I feel overwhelmed if I had a lot of friends, and I did for a little while in high school and in college. I felt really overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my God, I have to, all these people. We were kind of talking off air about like being able to talk to more than like having conversation with more than one person, right? And I remember in high school and college, and even nowadays, sometimes two people or three people talking to me at the same time. I don't know why they don't realize they're both talking to me, but they don't for some reason. And then I would have to maintain in my head two separate conversations, reply. And when they see me reply to two different people, it doesn't deter them. They keep talking to me as if the other person doesn't exist. And I'm like, no, this is not how it works.
That does sound stressful. Like, how do you have two conversations at once instead of one conversation with three people? It's hard though.
It is hard.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
It's, I'm a one-on-one person myself. I do like group stuff, especially like if you're not like super close with like everyone there, then yeah, you don't have everyone trying to talk at once. Right. And I'm not talking about like huge stuff like big parties or anything, but I think I've gone to things where it's like a dinner with some friends of a friend, and I know like one other person there really well, so we can talk, and everyone's talking and talking a little bit to the other people too, but they're not trying to like, all talk at once to the same person. So that's great.
Yeah. Though, may you never experience that, because boy, is that hard. And I'm just like, okay, hard. What am I supposed to do to that? I just don't know what to do with that. And it doesn't happen very often, but it happened enough for me to notice. And I'm just like, I don't understand. If I see someone talking to you, I'm not going to say anything because you're obviously having a conversation with this person over there. But anyway. Yeah, no, I get you. I often find myself when I'm in a situation where I don't know anyone talking to somebody. And what I like is that people do like to talk about themselves. So I'm very good at asking questions and, follow-up questions and even more follow-up questions. And it's like, oh, really? How's that like? And people are more than happy and get lost in sharing their life story with you, of which you will remember none. But that's okay because, it's probably you'll never see them again. But, it's an interesting tactic. But I also think the benefit of dating someone who's an extrovert is it gives you those few opportunities as an introvert to be in those situations that you normally wouldn't be in, right? Like you were saying, you go out, with your boyfriend, and you probably find yourself in such scenarios in which you probably wouldn't find yourself normally if you were with another introvert.
Right. Like, I think at one point I was at like a game night, and actually it was his roommates, but and they had some friends popping in and out, and that was kind of nice. It was pretty chill. It was not, and it was not people really talking over each other a bunch. It was just a fun night. But my friends my small circle, they don't even really know each other. So a game night of them coming together is very unlikely to happen.
You just like to compartmentalize your friends, apparently.
I must. I don't know how that happens, but it does. But I think getting back to sort of the root of the question was, what does it do for trust issues for me? And I was just going off on like how it makes me kind of feel like, I don't have as much of a social life as my significant other if my circle is otherwise engaged. But as far as trust issues, that's a tricky one. It depends on the partner, I think, how much you trust the partner, because they might go out and have tons of friends. But if you trust them, is it really that much of an issue? Or they might be introverted themselves and only have a couple friends. But if you don't trust them, you don't trust them with those couple friends.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think that for some people, they adopt my philosophy in which you trust someone until they break the trust. So you try to default to trusting someone before they do something. It took a long while to get me back there. That was how I was originally, and then I lost it for a long time, and I'm back to it again, thankfully. But I think if it was two introverts, why is it better for introverts to date other introverts? I don't know if it's necessarily better. I think that you'll definitely have more in common, and you'll feel more comfortable in scenarios where you don't have to be in large groups. You'll probably end up doing a lot more together, spending a lot more time together, because you're happy with just it being you and your partner. And so you'll go out and do everything pretty much just the two of you, because essentially, potentially, if you're like Sara and I, you're going to only have a handful of friends anyway. So on occasion, you're going to go out with your friends, or it may be sometimes they'll be too far away to hang out with or anything. So it's just, you're not going to really have that opportunity. And you'll just end up being with that other person more often than not. Right. So, I've been in relationships with other introverts, and yeah, you just spend all of your time with them. That's all you do. And it wasn't bad. Wow. It wasn't miserable, like we hated each other's guts or anything. Like we did separate things, but in the same room, or, whatever. Like we would just do our own thing or do stuff together, but we were very comfortable with it. That was our preferred method of entertaining ourselves and going out, was like, I got someone to hang out with. I got someone to do stuff with. They're right there. They're laying right beside me. And that was a really nice kind of experience, and probably the benefit for introverts is like, there's a benefit and a disadvantage. You're never taken out of your comfort zone very often, which is not necessarily a good thing, but also you're always in your comfort zone. So
it's very comfortable.
It's very comfortable. So, yeah. So I hope that answers the question. I think so.
Yeah.
I think
it does.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, Raikau. I think, like I said, because I know you will provide us with more questions once you've heard episode 3, where we answer the questions you asked previously. I'm certain you'll have responses and additional questions. So I think we're going to dedicate a segment to answering some of those questions for you. And also opening it up for others. If you do out there have any questions, if you want to be like Raikau Lefkosh, you don't have to provide, as many questions as he does. Maybe 1, 2, a couple. Yeah, we can handle that. You can go ahead and send us an email to IsThisLovePod@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to answer it. Or again, you can reply to the Facebook post if you have Facebook and you liked us, or on the website, sinceresarcasm.net. I post it on there too. And before we continue, just a really quick, if you love what we're doing, if you like what we're doing at all, just give us a like, give us a thumbs up, give us a 5-star review on iTunes. That is going to make sure that we get seen by more people. We want to be seen by everyone. The world, even, if possible. We want to get questions from Cambodia and England and Australia, everywhere. Those are the only 3 countries that includes everywhere.
That's it. That's the whole world.
That's the whole world. Those 3 countries in the U.S. That's it. No Canada, no Mexico. No, everywhere, anywhere. We'd love to hear your questions. We'd love to answer them. Go ahead and do that. in all those places. And again, just leave us that review. And once we get some in, we'll be happy to talk about them and share it with you guys on the show. So, all right. Let's get into an article. We didn't get to any last week. Let's try to get into some this week. We have one in particular. Sarah, what is it?
Why people behave badly on dating apps.
Okay. Why do people? This is from a reputable website, the BBC. So,
yeah. I didn't even look at the URL there. You're right. It is.
So this is something coming from people who you can trust. And Jessica Klein did the research on this one. What is that byline? Not byline. What is the subtitle? What are they finding out here? What are they asking?
All right. Cheating, ghosting, and swiping. Online dating brings out the worst in many people. Does it have to be this way?
Yes.
It does. Honestly, I don't even feel like that's what the article's asking.
No.
I think they're just telling us all the bad things people do.
That's true.
But yeah, no, maybe it does have to. I mean, once you get online, what are you going to do? You've unleashed the beast, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, some people release the beast on the first date.
Oh God!
Totally.
Well, that's one of the problems. Like, you're unleashing the beast in unsolicited photos.
That's a question I have for the average male listening to this show. As a person who doesn't do that, why do you do that?
That's such a good question.
Like, look, I've done it when I've been asked for it, and I've had women ask for it on occasion. Not very often, but on occasion it's been asked for. I'm like, I guess if you really want to see it that badly, yeah. And I've done it, but too much to their disappointment. But I'm, often but I don't understand why that's like a move. So if you can answer that, please. Anyway, so as you've read this article, there's a lot of stuff on this. Actually, there's a lot of anything that kind of popped out to you in particular.
Well, the ones that I really stuck in my memory reading this, because there's a lot of things, was people being mean or aggressive, more so in apps than in real life. And that does make sense, with being anonymous and everything. And the other one was ghosting. Those were the two that really, I guess, captured my interest and made me think of specific examples. Mm-hmm. And there's other things too, but those two are fairly common complaints.
Let's talk about, because you've recently, up until your current boyfriend, you recently were on dating apps. Did you encounter a lot of people being fairly mean or ruthless on those apps?
I don't know if I've just gotten better at kind of.
Your radar came up. You're like, oh no, I know to avoid this person. There's some
radar things, and you just don't engage with certain people. Maybe they have a lot of photos where they're holding lots and lots of weapons, and you're like, huh, that person might be a little aggressive for me.
Sure. Yeah.
Things like that, or they're not smiling in any of their photos, and they kind of almost look angry. Sometimes just their opening lines, you get a little bit of an edge to it. Mm-hmm. I think when I was younger, I ran into it more because I let things go for a while and was like, well, maybe I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they didn't mean it that way. And so, I would come across people who would become more aggressive and mean, or even sometimes a little bit scary. And maybe they do it more towards younger people anyways, because an easier target. And I think there's people who come on these things with just rage, just anger that they want to direct at someone in sort of a safe way, because, they don't have to face them in person and they don't have to have people around hear it and then chase them out of the joint. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do think that I've definitely experienced that people can be pretty terrible on the apps. It hasn't happened in a while, and I think I've gotten better at filtering out people who I was actually going to respond to or continue the conversation with. But yeah, it definitely happens. How about you?
So I haven't done it as much. Again, maybe total amount of time I've spent on dating apps is like less than a year. And what I find is ghosting happens more than anything else. If you start a conversation with somebody, more often than not, if they don't find any interest in you, they just disappear. They delete their account and start a new one immediately or something. But they usually have a tendency to just poof into dust as if they never existed. And that's really before you get any other type of social media or any type of phone number or anything like that. Because, the testing ground is the app, right? You get to chat with them on that. You get to weed people out. And I find that women in particular are not very aggressive. If anything, they're too meek, and really it kind of expect the man to kind of lead the conversation and to be able to take charge, which I get. I understand it. That's why men don't smile in their photos, because they're like, I'm tough and ladies love a tough man and I can like kill a deer with my eyes. That type of that type of personality.
That's just kind of sensitive man I'm looking for.
Right. Well, that's the thing, right? Like there's a lot of men who don't want to be considered, it's still taboo to be sensitive. I think that there are, even though there is a section of the population that encourages men to be more open to their emotions, that's also the same people who will mock a man if they do. So it's a double-edged sword for a lot of men out there. And I've seen it at least online. I haven't seen it in person, but I don't, in my earlier years on social media, like almost a decade ago, I did pour my heart out online quite a few times, and I got a lot of ridicule for it, to the point where I never ever really express any emotion online anymore. It's always a joke. It's always an article, or it's always something that has little to no emotion at all in it. Except for excitement or happiness, right? But if you ever show sadness or being upset, you're a beta male, you're weak, you're this, you're that, like you get ridiculed for it. And I did very much so my earlier years online. So I think for men, there's an expectation to be gruff and tumble, but I don't know if men though, because I said that oftentimes on dating apps, women would ghost. Do men ghost? Are men ghosters?
They are, yeah. I actually, we were talking earlier about like places that I, read about and hear about people's opinions on relationship. Another one is like some Facebook groups that are, dating ones. I'm not on so many of those anymore because I'm in a relationship.
Right. Yeah.
But there was I remember there's one where people were talking a lot about ghosting and kind of talking about when it's okay and when it's not okay. And like, it's okay, like within a certain number of conversations or exchanges. Not okay once you've seen them or talked to them on the phone.
Oh,
at that point, you should actually tell them that you don't want to talk anymore. So I guess people have like this different opinion of like, maybe if you've said like 2 or 3 lines to each other, it's okay to just stop talking to them. But if you've been dating them, you probably shouldn't do that. I actually have kind of a funny ghosting story.
Oh, go for it. Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
So I was seeing this guy. We'd actually been on a few dates. And we were hanging out one night at my place, and I was drinking from this nice water bottle that had like one of those like kind of squishy silicone spouts.
Sure.
And he asked me if he could have a drink. And we'd been like making out and stuff on some of our dates, so it seems like I wouldn't have a problem with it. But I am a little bit of a germaphobe, and I was just like imagining his mouth bacteria living in the silicone spout.
Despite the fact that he's literally stuck his tongue in your mouth.
Despite that, it's just I only wanted my bacteria to have full sovereign reign over the spout of my bottle. So I was like, I don't really feel good about that. I'm sorry. I'm a germaphobe, mouth bacteria. I know it doesn't make sense. I was like, well, let me get you a glass of water. And he was a little weird about that. The next day, I never heard from him again.
What?
Totally ghosted me. And guess what else? my water bottle was gone. Yeah.
He was trying to
not
clone
only did
you.
he ghost me, he stole it. He stole my water bottle.
He's trying to clone you. That's what he's trying to do.
Oh, very sweet.
It's like, I have her spit on here. I can clone her now. That's weird. Oh, that's a weird. That's okay. That's a bit extreme. That's a step too far. I don't. This woman wouldn't let me drink her bottle, so I can't date her anymore. Because did you explain to him that you wanted to be the dominant bacterial essence on the bottle?
I didn't get quite into the politics of it. I just, I just didn't want, I was like, I'm sorry, germaphobe. I just don't want to deal with it. But yeah, I'm sure I know I've had like other ghosting things where I just don't hear from someone anymore, but that's the one that really sticks in my mind. And that's the one that's like, we'd actually been on several dates. And I think most people will agree, even if you think ghosting is okay at early stages, once you've been on some dates, you don't ghost anymore. You say something if you're done, even if it's just a text.
Yeah, yeah. Like I whenever I had been ghosted, I would always just give that one last message to say, hey, look, thanks for talking to me. I had a really good time. I enjoyed getting to know you. If you do ever want to talk again, just hit me up. That's all good, right? Whatever. Because I didn't have any ill feelings. I thought we were getting along well, but if they don't want to talk to me, they don't have to talk to me. I'm not going to force my presence on anyone. But I feel like that may be the better, if you do ever get ghosted, I feel like that's a good way to just be like, look, I know you're ghosting me, but I don't, whatever. People make those choices, but I still think you're cool. So if you don't ever talk or whatever, that's cool. I feel like that's just kind of like you at least leave the door open in case they feel like, oh crap, that was dumb of me to do, or oh yeah, this guy was pretty nice or whatever, or girl, and you just, or do you think that's stupid? Do you think it's a bad idea? Or
no, if you want to leave the door open, that's great. Okay, honestly, after he did that, I sent him one last text, and I was like, I don't remember what I said, but something like, really?
Oh well, no, that's a different story. No, if someone steals your water bottle and goes and never talks to you again, that's a different story, because they took
some to that feeling that I texted him. Yeah, I was not like, oh well, if you ever want to talk again.
No. In that particular case, I feel like I would have not have said anything. I'd be like, what the? I just been like, dodged a bullet here, because
probably.
Yeah, it's like that's more would have been in my mind. Like, but I think sometimes you don't know. Again, you don't know what's going on in a person's life. You really don't know. But if they steal your water bottle, yeah, you leave them. You get away from that.
Yeah, but any sort of stealing is, even if it's small, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
But I think that you don't know what happens with people, and it I suppose if they just disappear out of the blue, what are you really going to lose by sending them one more text?
Exactly. And then don't expect anything. Don't wait for anything. Like some people, I think, do that hoping. Don't just leave it alone. That's just kind of like, all right, at least I close my door, and if they want to close theirs by saying anything or never responding, that's up to them. But at least, you kind of closed your own door and you're not leaving it just out there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think that online dating is an art form. And I think that bad behavior is just the nature of being online, right? You're anonymous for the most part. You're not as anonymous on dating apps because you have your name out there and your picture usually, unless you're being catfished, then okay.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other bag of worms or can of worms.
Well, totally, yeah. Well, bag of worms, I mean, why not?
Bag of worms, why not?
Yeah. But I feel like, I think that that as long as it's not catfishing, it is so easy just to treat another person online badly. It's just kind of, I don't want to say it's second nature, but it's just like, oh yeah, well of course, because I'm never going to see them again, whatever, right? I can say whatever I want to them and do whatever I want to them because they're in another city or in another county. Who cares?
Well, what it reminds me of is people being jerks on the road we really get in our car and we think we're totally separated from the people in the other cars and we're completely protected. And they're this other that's just, horrible. And they cut me off a little bit. Oh my God, what a total jerk. Everything about them is terrible.
Yeah.
Our brains just go there.
Yeah. And my favorite part is that people think that a car is an enclosed space and they just start picking their nose like openly. And that's really gross. It's like, we can see you. Why are you doing that? The windows are clear.
They're see-through.
Yeah. You are not in an enclosed room, even though it feels like it. We can see you with that pinky just straight up in there. Relax, dude. It's okay. I feel like that people do. I've luckily not experienced. I'm a very defensive driver. I very much anticipate everyone's movements because I hate it. I hate driving. I mean, I love driving, but I hate the road. I hate other drivers just instinctively. So I don't get it. I don't get road rage. I'm fascinated by the people who do. They are crazy. Other bad things that people do on dating apps is they use it as not just as an Ashley Madison, but literally they just cheat on their significant others using Tinder and other apps that are just so easy to do because no one knows you're in a relationship. Apparently, many participants said they witnessed cheating via the app. About 64% reported seeing someone on Tinder whom they knew to be in an exclusive relationship.
Well,
64, that's a lot of people. That's a lot.
It's a lot. But if you think about it, not only does it make it easier to cheat, it kind of makes it easier for you to get caught because
it's
all
your
these
area.
people are like, you're just swiping through people who are looking for dates. Although I think they also said that Tinder actually added a feature where you can block like family and friends that you don't want to know that you're on there. So they're getting around it.
Well, as they do, because they know that. That's kind of like Facebook dating. Facebook dating allows you, if you want, to include people in your friends group to swipe right or whatever. You can like people in your friends group. It's kind of like a discreet way of saying, well, I've always been interested in you, but I never had a way to say it. And if they find you and swiped as well, it's like, oh, you've made that kind of missed connection. Now, mind you, I haven't used it in over 2 years, so maybe they changed that feature, but that was a feature from 2 years ago because I did have friends show up on my Facebook dating.
Oh, wow.
Selections. And I'm like, well, yeah, I've always had a crush on you. Like, oh yeah, I've always had a crush on you. Like, I mean, I have crushes on the people. I've had crushes on the people who are my friends. It's just,
That's
circumstances. Yeah, but I mean, circumstances were like, oh, I met them when they were in a relationship. Because most of the time I've known most of my friends on Facebook, I was single. So it's like, oh, well, you were in a relationship. Of course, I'm not going to pursue you, but I'm going to like you anyway, just because I've always found you, interesting or adorable or whatever, so I'm going to do it anyway. And I did. I'm like, yeah. Oh, yeah. And, so ladies on Facebook, if you're listening, I probably swiped on you at some point or another. But yeah, so that's an interesting feature, that you can do, but yeah, no, I feel like as we wrap this up, and I don't know how you feel. I mean, it seemed to be fairly positive for you. I still feel like online dating, I'd rather not if I didn't have to. I like old-fashioned dating, even though I don't go out and I don't meet people. I just like staring, I mean, before online dating, I was able to find people. like I was able to. I've been in relationships where I just happen to find them out there in the world. So it's possible. It's just a matter of, again, stepping out of your comfort zone and willing to take that risk. If you can take the risk, go for it. If you can't, maybe online dating is for you. Again, for you, Sarah, seemed like the perfect fit.
Well,
Because you don't go out.
Love it. I don't love it when I'm doing it. Like, of course, I'd rather just be in a relationship than go through the process of app dating. But, I just don't really meet people in a non-platonic way around here. Barely ever at all in a platonic way. Like most people I know around here, I already know. Right. And I don't know. It just didn't really seem to happen except for like very rare situations where I wasn't looking for it. So if I am single and I want to be with someone, then, I'm looking for it. And what's the best way to do that is go somewhere where there's plenty of options. So for that reason, dating apps are good. But the process itself, I wouldn't say is particularly enjoyable for me.
No, it's definitely gotten worse over time. I miss the days of OkCupid, Plenty of Fish, all that stuff, where it was just kind of like, just simple, just easy, Nowadays, I think there's catfishing is more rampant. I don't know, maybe it isn't. I can't wait to talk about that though. But just like I feel like there's less respect for the people that you're trying to woo or trying to, canoodle or whatever. Like, there's just, I know. I feel like people aren't willing to accept, maybe if you guys don't get along romantically, that you could have potentially made at least a new friend, and people aren't interested in that for some reason. They're just like, no, ghost, no, gone, no, delete, or block, usually. And it's like, well, you guys got along up to a point. Couldn't you just be friends with them? Like, I feel like that's a good option for people, because we need more friends. We're in our loneliest time in a long time. People are lonely everywhere. And I feel like we're not letting ourselves make friends. We're not letting ourselves step out of our loneliness and to be able to potentially make new acquaintances and meet new people. Just like, no, I'm horny. I want to have. Oop. I guess I'm leaving that out because I'm trying to keep this family friendly-ish. But
I was like, oh, what are we going to do about that?
Luckily, this is not live, so I can do what I can. I'll put a rooster voice sound on that or something. I'm going to have to find a cool sound effect for that. I will have to talk about that in a second. So anyway, we're
going to have a talk about this.
I know. I think we do. But anyway. So yeah, I don't know. Any final thoughts on this article, or any other things that kind of stood out to you before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think we covered it pretty well. Yeah, apps are tough. People are bad sometimes, but also good sometimes. So, what can you do? The internet seems to bring out the worst and the best in us.
More the worst.
Worst is much more obvious. But there's some really cool things on the internet. Mm-hmm. A lot of cool like artists and different like talents and things come out thanks to the internet, and raising awareness for things. So it's not all bad.
No, that's true. All right. Well, I don't know why it just came out. I don't know why I said that. It just came out. All right. Please like if you want more shenanigans like that, because I try not to get the explicit tag for iTunes and other things. But if you like the show, and maybe I'll put a non-censored version of this on Patreon or something, you can go ahead and, again, please subscribe and review 5 stars. Say how much you liked the way that Francis said the F word. Whatever. I'm down with that. Go ahead and do that again. The more likes and the more reviews, the more people are likely to find it, and the more questions we can answer, and the more people we can help, and the more happy we all will be. IsThisLovePod@gmail.com, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. IsThisLovePod. So look that up on any of those, and you'll find us. Lastly, it's sinceresarcasm.net for the website. I may give up on the IsThisLovePodcast.com website. I have it. I own the URL, but I don't know how to connect it to where I want it to connect. So we'll see what happens with that. And finally, AKA the other guy, for myself on Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, all that stuff. If you want to contribute to the show and make this thing last for years to come. So thank you, Sarah, for having the cleanest mouth on the internet.
The cleanest mouth on the internet.
Well, not when we're recording, at least. I've heard your potty mouth offline, but online.
I know how to keep it professional.
I've been
but I guess we don't need to if we're going to do like a rooster or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, I will definitely edit out, or at least I will censor those things, because I want this to make it onto like YouTube, because this goes on YouTube, this goes on all this stuff. Anyway, what the funny thing is Sarah's just going to curse the entire episode now that she has the green light.
Now that I know.
She has the green light, and she's going to be like, F this, and I'll just V that. You can say vagina.
V this and V that.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, we're getting loopy over here, and that's a good sign. So we'll talk to you all next time. Have a safe journey in love, everyone.